Hello again. This is the G.I. Joe New News Review, and we are in the road to Joe Fest 2025. And I thought it would be wonderful to talk to one of our guests at Joe Fest, and that is a good friend of the channel, Dan Klingensmith Jr. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Dave.
Thanks for joining us. Dan is the creator and author of Creating G.I. Joe, a Real American Hero series 1 through 15. And if you are a fan of this channel, you can see almost on all my classified reviews that I use his books for reference. And you can see that Dan has given me his blessing to do so.
Yes, I mean, I appreciate you doing that. And sharing out the different information or some of the information regarding this series and, just educating everybody, right? That's what it's all about.
Yeah, a lot of this stuff is very interesting. I just did a review the other day of Heavy Artillery Roadblock, and I read in there that one of the alternative names was Hardball and something else. And I was like, wait a minute, those characters come back around down the road because Hardball becomes a character and somebody else. So they never throw that stuff away. So I find that funny. Some of the characters' names are really crazy.
Yeah, there's some funny ones over the years. So, but yeah, it's interesting to see when different characters are just utilized later on, you know what I mean, and in line. So, and sometimes you wish that maybe some other names were used instead of maybe AKA Skid Mark. I mean, it would have been, I can't remember his alternative names, but it would have been, I mean, I get what Skid Mark is. I mean, as far as like driving fast and all that, but maybe they had to think about the kids in the 80s and what we were thinking about then as far as what a skid mark was. So,
Exactly.
But I mean, the color scheme, not a big fan of the color scheme that it eventually came out with, but if you see the original art, which is featured in the book series, or at least the newer official released one, because I didn't have the original art at the time for the initial release, but the colors they used were more traditional military, so it's actually a lot cooler figure than many give them credit for. So,
well, that's
customizers go at it.
Yeah, well, that's the interesting thing about some of these color studies that I've been utilizing to show off the different versions, and they actually did that with Classify with the his tactician. They used a color study from Ron Rudat, and those are in your book, so people can actually see the history of that.
Yeah, it's really cool when they did that. I mean, those that's one thing that's really cool with the fact that Hasbro utilized the book. Utilized the book. Hasbro censor.
That's funny. Thank you for joining us.
But it's cool that they utilized the book in that sense and did something fun like that and did the contest for the fans and stuff. So it's really cool to see that happen.
There's something, I think in I think it's volume 15. No, I think it's volume 14. Let me see if I can pull that up. One of my favorite all-time things, and I didn't know about this until I got your book, and I don't even think you shared this to me on our interview, because you did showcase some things in the interview we did about 14, 15, and things that were coming or that were unproduced. But there's something in, I think it's 14, maybe it's 15.
So 14 is unproduced stuff that got pretty close to coming to fruition. 15 it was pretty far off from ever coming to light.
Maybe that's where, I think that's where it was. I think it's in 15. Okay. I think I have the wrong volume.
14 has, what's it called? Ninja Commandos, Battle Corps Rangers, a lot of that stuff.
Well, this is called the Yellow Jacket. It was a helicopter.
Yeah, that probably is volume 15, if I had to guess.
Volume 15? Oh, all right. So let me get volume 15 out. But it is so awesome. I would love Hasbro to make that, because that is so awesome. And this is the cool stuff people like, the unproduced stuff. Let me see where Dragonfly is.
I think right now, I mean, depending on what version of it you would like, 3 3/4 inch or 6 inch, because with the Dragonfly, I think we run into the same issue that they ran it back then, where the Dragonfly was just released. So are they going to really release another Joe helicopter? You know what I mean? So now 3 3/4 inch, if that ever got off the ground again through Hasbro, maybe that'd be something fun to explore. So
Where is that? I'm trying to figure out where he is in here, but it is really good, and this is a good place to share that out to people because
yeah,
it would just be an incredible vehicle to have because it's all worked out. They have all the details worked out in
yep.
this what you have shown here. And where the heck is it?
Do you use a table of contents?
Yeah, I used the table of contents, but I didn't see it in there.
Let's
Is it
see.
alphabetical? It's not alphabetical.
No, no, no. No, let me see. Hold on. I'm on my site. I can find it quick. The Yellow Jacket, unless I did it. No, I didn't do it then. So let's see. Hold on a second.
This is great television, by the way.
It is. It's live. It's what you do. I was going to say, because every book, I generally feature something unproduced, but that was something I didn't do until the end, I think, with the Yellow Jacket.
No, it was in one of these 14
Okay. I was going to say, I didn't have it until the end.
Oh, here it is. I just happened to flip to a page and I found it. Look.
There you go.
Look at this page. Look at this, people. Look at this Yellow Jacket. This is going to be a Cobra helicopter, the equivalent of the Dragonfly, but for Cobra. It is awesome. I would love Classified to make that. Whoo, boy, is that nice.
It'd be fun. Yeah, it's an awesome design by Todd Wise. So it's a beautiful, beautiful look.
So I don't know how we got off on that, but
you get excited about the Yellow Jacket. What do you mean? How did I get off?
Well, we're talking about the different ideations of the different versions of characters.
Yeah.
Studies with Ron Rudat and everything like that. And I like that. And I like talking about that aspect of the brand because imagine that gung-ho in some of those color studies that I did the other day. I don't think it would be the same. It wouldn't look the same. It wouldn't be the same gung ho. I mean, the roadblock, heavy artillery roadblock. I think we come to expect a character to look a certain way, and I like that the Hiss driver when they showed the purple. I like the purple version. A lot of people like the purple version. It didn't get picked. The black and the red got picked, but I still think it's cool. The Techno Viper is one of my favorite Cobra troop builders, and that ideation of the Hiss driver looked kind of like a Techno Viper to me.
Yeah. I mean, color studies are fun. There's a reason that they went with the final color, of course. And also there's a reason that they had to create that many too. I think sometimes Ron or Mark or Kurt, they do so many, but they had to give variety. Like I think sometimes they had their favorite already off the bat, but you had to provide variety so everybody can see a difference and change. So, but yeah, I mean, even stuff I've seen afterwards, like Zorana, there's some stuff I've seen after the fact. I didn't feature in the book. I just didn't have it. Same thing with Spirit. A couple more ideations of him, different colors, but I mean, what we got is the best. I mean, I still think it's the best of both worlds. So yeah, I mean, I think like troop builders, I think it's fun. Like I think Televipers, I feature a lot of different colors. I mean, think about how cool you can just create your own army. If you have a bunch of Televipers and you're a customizer, you can just use the book as reference to, hey, I'm going to make this color, this color, this color, and make your own little separate mini I guess segments within Cobra.
It's true. You're right about that. Froze up. Oh, you froze up a little bit there, but that's all right
too. Yeah, that would have been cool to see Crimson Guards, like different colors for him. I think I've mainly only seen the red, the traditional one that we got. I know there's a red one, I think, with a silver that we've seen in Classified. I think there's one other, but that's a character that's a figure I would have liked to have seen because it would be cool to see. Did we ever do we got the black version in the 2000s. Was that something that they considered back in the 80s? So
yeah,
it'd be neat to see certain figures I really enjoy, like Crimson Guard. Well,
that's my favorite troop builder is a Crimson Guard, and the Classified have done three versions thus far for Crimson Guard: the traditional, the modernized, classified upping of him made him a little bit darker, a little more zhuzhed up, more add-ons and stuff. And then they did the what was it, the shadow
It froze
guard.
up a little bit. I think you had the silver mask, and then you had the black mask, and I think I don't know what the last one was. I can't remember, but
The Shadow Guard, he
oh,
has a lot of Destro, Iron Grenadier
oh,
Destro
okay, is
in
that
it.
the one? Okay,
Yeah, it was a 2-pack with the Steel Corps commander, but it
okay,
looks really nice.
yeah. I don't
Uh,
know if I got that one, but yeah, that's a favorite. Have you done any knowing your favorite figures with the twins? There's a ton of ideations of color studies for them.
we
Have you tried
haven't gotten
any
to
other
the
colors?
twin. We're only up to artillery roadblock, which is 28. I'm about to do 29 breaker in the Ram motorcycle coming up next, and I gave a little bit of a hint on my previous video on that. So we'll get to the Crimson Twins, and trust me, I'll be spending a lot of time with the Crimson
Yeah,
Twins.
but
So
for you, have you done any customs yourself of those? No.
I'm not a very good customizer because of a medical condition I have called tremors. My hands shake. I'm not very good at painting and that stuff. So I'm not a hands-on type of a person. I
Gotcha.
let everybody else do it. If I see something that looks cool, like I've bought customs of the Crimson Twins from other people, and I've bought Crimson Guards that were from the Black Major, Red Laser people
Okay.
that are cool looking versions and stuff. And but yeah, I let other people do that work. I'm not, it's not for me,
No, I
but
hear
I
you.
do enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be cool to see. I mean, especially with them going on sale. If you're looking at the classified version of them, right? I mean, they went
Yeah,
on sale so cheap, you could really have have some fun. I mean, hey, if you're into dioramas or whatever, have them set up in different colors besides the blue and the red that they've come out with, right? Maybe you want to do some of the other, like the purple,
yeah.
there's some other ones in there. So yeah, it's always fun seeing that type of stuff too, and it's always fun when someone customizes a produced character too. I know for the guy I labeled as Rivets, when I did the exclusive card, someone actually did a custom that, they created his head, and they, made molds of it and everything, like just customized a brand new head for a character. So it's kind of neat to see that.
Wow,
So
that's pretty cool. Um, Yeah, so it's been fun using the books. I discover different things every time I get another character that I have to utilize a page and stuff like that. I read through it before, so I'm prepared, and I'm like, well, look at this. This is unique. I didn't see this coming, and stuff like that. And some of the pages you have 2 or 3 pages. Some of them you only have 1 page. Stuff like, I guess it's based on what you have available, what's been donated, or you've bought, or this or that, and stuff like that. So that's something down the road I would like. If you ever do an omnibus, kind of like the 3D Joe's road, you can add all that extra stuff that you have that has
yeah,
never seen the light of day.
yeah. I mean, I shared what I had, at that time when the volumes were being released, but definitely volume one. I've come across stuff. That's probably the biggest one where I've come across stuff that wasn't in volume one per se, right? I have stuff
Yes.
now like
Yep.
like sculpture sheets and weapons details, and some are more interesting than others. Others are like, okay, is it necessary to have? No, not that make the page
No.
splash, but
Right.
um, but yeah, I mean, there's definitely some. I'd say in volume one and two. Excuse me, it's early here. Volume one and two. Are lacking stuff that maybe I've come across over the years. But I shared a couple things out even recently, because I don't know what the plans are down the road for that. But like some stuff from, I think it was 91, I shared some resin figures that I've come across, a couple years ago, and those characters were already featured earlier on. So I figured, hey, you know what, share them out, just on Facebook or whatever, and still give people the chance to look at them and stuff like that. So
Well, and that's the thing. You're still discovering different things, and this community is always discovering new things
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Not everybody is as generous as you are with sharing this sort of stuff. There are some people who are kind of like hoarding things, and they don't want the fans to know about it. They only told their little circle of people, and it's like, why? Why would you do that? But it's the way it goes. I prefer people share things so we can all know about it. We don't necessarily have to have it, but it'd be kind of cool to know a lot of the details and the things that I talk about from points and stuff like that you cover in the books and things that I've learned over the decades. Someone found out about those details and shared them, and that's how they became part of the lore stories and things like that. I appreciate all that.
Yeah, I mean, teach his own. I mean, some people want to be more private, and it's understandable. I understand where some people are, but I think that's what I enjoyed. Is kind of that's what inspired. Outside of the interview with Ron that he had on Yojo, you know, you wanted to learn more. You saw some of this stuff on Yojo.com back in the day, like preliminary art, and you're like, oh, this has to exist, or if it does exist, where is it? Whether it be in someone's collection or, there's a lot of stuff I know I've uncovered that nobody had ever seen, or heard about, or we knew some of it, like the alternate heads. I mean, Declassified released Breaker and um, Zap, right? The whole
Yeah.
history of that. And then, it wasn't until an internal memo that I was reading, because that's one of the things, thanks to them, I went to go look for a memo on alternate heads, like to see, like, hey, did they actually talk about it? And there was a memo in there, and then it talked about a third head. I'm like, whoa, 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 we didn't know about that. And then that's where the short fuse third head came up. So I was kind of happy about learning that and then featuring that, like surprising people, because I didn't really talk to many people about that. And then it was featured in volume 2, where I showed the new head for short fuse as well. And so um, it's kind of a cool discovery, because that was something that nobody really had ever seen or heard about. It's different when it's maybe like a color change or like a running change on a figure, like, oh, hey, they removed this color or added this color. But to have an entirely different sculpt was really cool. So, it's good that they shared out that, because I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe I would have discovered it, maybe I wouldn't have, by reading the memo, maybe I would have understood who they're talking about. I don't know. Um, but that was a fun discovery in the whole series. So
Somar, thanks for joining us. Good morning. I didn't get the Xbox showcase. Sorry. Um, yeah, I like that. I think that's cool. Presentations that you've been doing at different conventions, and then your own podcast where you've been getting the legacy creators involved and really getting those deep dive interviews and stuff like that, learning secrets and getting things from them that nobody knew about. I think that's really cool. I love watching your series and learning that stuff. The more, the merrier, I say.
yeah, I mean, yeah, the podcast is fun because it's, I delve into them a little bit more, like, who they are, where they went to school, what they studied, and showcasing different stories. There's some changes I think I want to make, to potential future interviews, just to make it a little bit more natural. I think sometimes I come in with set questions, and I think I just need to just let my natural curiosity get the best of me. And so there's some things I'm looking to change maybe with that format. But yeah, it's fun to learn from people because there's so much, and that's some of the things with some of the upcoming panels that, some of the stuff I just like, for example, if we get to it, hopefully we can get to it because of the timing, but just Mega Marines, for example, there's like a whole history behind all that. And I didn't dive too deep into it in the book series because it just didn't fit the series and how it's written, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of information about that hopefully will be discussed, upcoming panel, and it'll be shared out there. So people will, I'm assuming, have lots of questions potentially for that too. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think that's cool. Do you have a panel at Joe Fest this year?
I don't at Joe. No, nothing at Joe Fest. No.
Oh, so you're only going to be doing panels at the Dallas Fort Worth
Yeah, the
event?
DFW. Yep, DFW Joe show. I have three different panels. So one's R&D, one's on marketing, and then one's kind of a combination of the two. And then that's it. So we were going to do a fourth, but they ended up going with something more towards the 12-inch collectors. So I kind of let them handle that round, of course. But no, it's gonna be a lot of fun, and it's fun when you get all these guys together, and we started brainstorming back in December, January, and thinking of different ideas and yada yada yada, and it's gonna be it should be a fun panel for everybody. I mean, some of it I've heard, but it's always different when you hear it from their mouths. Even
Yeah,
if I've written a little bit about some of the stuff that they share, they always go further, than what I wrote, just because either something comes up and they remember, or again, it just maybe wherever the story was, it's just a story. It doesn't,
yeah,
really go with the history of a figure per se, or a character or a vehicle, but they talk about, oh yeah, and in the office this happened. I try to share that out, but sometimes memory is tricky. Things come up, and I've found actually, I wish I would have done things differently maybe earlier on. But when I did volumes 14, 15, all the unproduced stuff, I did group interviews essentially. Normally, I would just individually interview Ron or Mark or whoever, talk about their figures, because I didn't want to like drag everybody on a call thinking, it's on my figure, it's on my vehicle. Why am I on here, right? So the
exactly.
unreleased stuff was fun, because what I learned was they were kind of involved though during that whole process. I mean, I knew this, but more than I maybe had originally thought. So for volume 14, 15, sometimes, people didn't say much, but sometimes a memory would come, or the designer would be like, I don't remember much about this vehicle. And then this guy would jump in and say, I remember doing the missile for that. And da da da. And they had their own story about their vehicle that was designed by someone else. So something to explore down the road, I think. Maybe it's something I'll do a little bit more exploration on. But I learned during that, like, man, I should have done this all along. But again, people may have gotten tired of it too. I don't know, when you have several. But for the panels, it was a lot of fun, a lot of brainstorming going around. Some different people coming to that show this year, so some new ideas from them. So yeah, I'm excited. It should be good panels. I try to put them on to where people. I'm trying to create that experience. You know what I mean, for people. That's my role. I feel like ever since HasCon, that was kind of something that, I was hoping HasCon was going to continue, just for the sake of, because I knew the GI convention was over. But when HasCon ended, and then the last GI Joe convention in 18, I remember like just sitting there thinking to myself in the crowd, like when they were having everybody go up and talk about the Joe convention and how important it has been. In my head, I was thinking, man, I got to keep this legacy alive. I can't, and so that's when I was thinking, if we were to continue with HasCon, um, what I needed to do. I needed to create a good experience for people to enjoy, and learn. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. So, Dallas has given me the opportunity to do so. So that's what I'm going to do, So,
Yeah, that's understandable.
yeah.
I wish we could do more of that sort of stuff myself at Joe Fest. We have a nice lineup of panels, a
Yeah.
lot of creators there. We have some legacy people there. Doug Hart will be having a panel with Carson. Talking Joe will be doing a Larry Hama panel. I will be doing a voice over acting panel with all the voice actors. We got like six voice actors, a nice array of Sunbow animated GI Joe voice actors, and Jem,
Yeah.
Samantha Newark as well. It's going to be a really fun panel. And there's a bunch of other independent creators and toy company panels and stuff like that, because we're stepping up how we're presenting the show as a more of a modern day Joe Con, more of all these new independent toy companies and stuff like that, the Super Sevens, the Big Bad
Mhm.
Toy Stores, all these things. So we're kind of moving out of the vintage, not 100%, but it's more focused on the modern
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And but we want
Well, you need to do that to keep the brand alive longer.
exactly, exactly. And there's a lot of new people, a lot of young people. Surprising me, the last year or so, I've noticed there's a lot more young people involved in the Joe community than maybe the 5 years prior to that I had seen. So
Nice.
I'm very happy that it's reaching finally another group of people. Maybe we had to wait till they got into their 20s and they had that extra money, that expendable income that they could do, like we all had to wait till we made good
Yeah.
bank and get some jobs that we could buy stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when people ask, when did you start collecting? Well, that's a hard question because what do you define as collecting? As a kid, I was
Right,
playing. I wasn't collecting, quote unquote. Like, I mean, I
right,
guess I was, but I wasn't thinking of it in those terms.
yeah,
Collecting, I'd say, when my mom was buying me the Hall of Fame figures, I wasn't playing with them at that point. So, yeah, that would say my introduction to collecting. Uh, Joe, I mean, I was still buying. I'll be honest. I mean, I don't care now. When you're young, 16, 17, you're embarrassed. But um, like I always bought every ninja character, right? As always, I bought Ninja Force when they came out, and I wasn't really again buying GI Joe at the time. I was still somehow paying attention to it. Just I don't know how. I mean, I had the internet, but I just would probably check them out. And so there's ninjas. I always bought ninjas. I remember not emailing. I don't think it was an email. It may have been email, but no, I
through
think it
the
was an
club.
actual letter.
Maybe the club was going on for about 8 or 9 years.
Yeah. No, I mailed. I sent a letter to Hasbro saying, I was kind of like, hey, I have every ninja, but I was missing 82 Snake Eyes, right? And so I was like, I have every ninja up until now. Is there any way, do you guys have any overstock of that? And of course, they were like, no. And they sent me a letter. I don't know what I did. I probably ripped it up and threw it away. But they said no. And then they were like, oh, but there's a whole collector community out there. You can go probably find it. And, I think this is after I started collecting the Hall of Fame figures. But it wasn't until 95 was when I purchased I bought a big lot of loose vehicles at the time and figures from a guy, oddly enough, in the same city that Ron Rudat lives. Later
Wow.
remembered, but the guy, I bought his entire childhood collection. I was 18 years old, had some money from graduation, and that's really how it started. And then it just, within 5 years, it exploded with, different things. I was just recently in Ohio last week, and I was telling my wife because we were on the road driving to Cleveland and stuff, and there's a comic store that I've never revisited. I mean, since I left Ohio back in '01, really had no reason to go back there, right?
Yeah.
But the guys, I need to see, I need to just remembering, I need to check and see if the owner still is the same owner because he was really gracious. He held stuff for me. Like I came in, I picked out every carded figure I wanted, and he put it all aside for me, and I made payments to him. And I don't know if he's still there, but I'm thankful like for people like him,
Right.
back then,
Yeah.
who allowed me to work with them because I was 18, 19. Minimum wage back then was what? I don't even remember now. $5
Well, in the
maybe.
early 90s, it was probably 550 to
Yeah, right.
575. Yeah.
So I mean, I bought maybe one figure back then. I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, Battlecore figures were about $5 carded.
Wow.
I mean, and that's why when I started buying carded stuff, or it's only because it's so cheap. So then I had 82 to 87 ish, 88 was all loose, and then 89 up was fairly reasonable priced, even at that point. And then I think I've shared with you before. That's when people were like, somebody asked me once, well, are you a loose collector or you carded? I'm like, well, I don't know how to make a decision here, but I guess maybe I'll do carded. And so then I moved that route. And again, there's a whole story behind all that, which we don't have to go into, but
Uh, Brabus, that's a very interesting question. That is the age-old question that GI Joe fans have been asking for the last 20 years since O-Ring ended. The last club figure was that doctor, whatever scientist guy with that weird robot, right? Dan, I believe is the last O-Ring original club
you're
figure.
talking about, is that 2010 ish?
Yes,
Was that with the big
yeah.
like green thing?
It was like a robot of some sort, and it
Was
was a
it?
scientist. What was the name of that guy? He was the last O-ring, I believe, and that's where you get your Mercer Big Lob was that same year, and that was a
Okay.
terrible Big Lob. But then we got the 2002, 3 anniversary, 40th anniversary wave, and they're still technically doing that run because we're getting two characters from Skybound with Skyfire this summer as the San Diego Comic-Con. So that era has not ended. They've just been putting those O-rings into different things like Stinger Driver exclusive, Transformer Joe collabs, and now this O-ring set with Skyfire from Skybound. So that era is still going, but it's very far and few.
Well, and I think it's like they did the Sky Striker, right? A
Yeah,
couple years ago for the HasLab.
yeah,
I
those
think,
seven figures for that.
yeah, I mean, I think it's a good question. Honestly, I don't think anytime soon. What's up,
Hi,
man?
Zazel.
With them doing Super 7 now, kind of taking the reins. I mean, what they may do with it, who knows? I mean, but if we're talking open stock, because I look at all those things you're talking about, those are exclusives. They're convention exclusives or HasLab or whatever. There's very minimal runs of them. Is Hasbro ever going to return to the 3 3/4 inch where millions are made? Probably not.
Probably not.
But who knows? I don't know what who knows what's up their sleeve. I think Classified, they're riding on that wave, and why wouldn't you? I mean, it's been doing pretty well for them. So I'm assuming for a while it'll live, and then who knows what? Yeah, exactly. Your whole background of that, but who knows what will come of the future?
If Super 7 keeps doing deep dive characters like this, then they're doing a great job. I hope they continue.
I mean, if Hasbro were to redo it, I would honestly wish for what's the word? I lost my train of thought.
You're welcome.
If they were to revisit coming out like with an entire line, don't rehash old figures. I would like a whole rejuvenation of the entire line. Storyline. Maybe. Joe versus Cobra, but maybe even extend it out further. But I would like the introduction of new characters and vehicles and stuff like that. I mean, I know others may not agree, but I think to keep it alive, we have to update stuff.
Yeah.
And so, who knows? Who knows what the future will hold? But at this time, I don't see it happening. But who knows?
Nope. You never know. I never say never because I was surprised because Super 7 like 5 years ago said they weren't going to get O-rings, and now they have them, and they're doing a fantastic job. We got Ramar, we got Fatal Fluffies, we got Cold Slither Zartan, some other versions of characters that are unique.
More focused though, too, like you're saying, like like the oddities, I guess you can say, or like doing Wild Bill in his cartoon colors, but.
Haya is a very difficult toy line to collect because it is from Japan, and you've got to find someone that goes to Japan that could try to find them, or somebody had been shipping them. I got like 6 of them, but I can't find anybody else that's getting them, so it's very difficult. So Haya is a different ball game. There's a 4-inch as well.
Yeah, I haven't gotten any of those. I've had to pull back on some stuff just because it's just too much.
If they did an actual legitimate Big Lob that was the right size, and it seems like they're willing to do larger bucks and weirder sizes. So yeah, you're right. That is the ability to print money on that.
Yeah, they did Big Lob like different size maybe, and then different sculpt than what the club had done. Because the club had just repainted Mercer, right? So
it was terrible.
It's okay. Gave us a Big Lob, I guess, right? But if they did something, all right, Zazel needs to be buying up everything.
The club, the FSS club, did a really nice 4-inch. That's a really nice. I have that one, and so yeah, I think that's what we need. We want that stuff. Pythona, come on, it's a no-brainer. Give me a break.
Yeah, there's some. And that's where if they start doing that kind of stuff. I may pick up a couple here and there. I didn't get. I meant to get the Fluffy, but I didn't see it, so I got Raymar or whatnot. Um, again, space wise, I'm being very picky when it comes to that stuff as far as Super Seven and O Ring, and I did see the classified what's it called? Cold Slither set, which looks pretty cool. But again, I don't know if I'm gonna bite on it just because like it's just one of those things. It just I'm sure it's gonna be pretty big, and
Oh,
I've gotten too many classifieds where I need to try to sell some of these doubles and stuff like that. Just I got sucked into it where originally when I started the classified, it's just going to be my favorite characters, and then of course you get the bug, and then you're just buying everything that comes out.
there's
So
no such thing. There's no
yeah,
such thing, Dan. I think that's an incredible set because it's the exact kind of thing that they should be doing as exclusives.
for sure.
Because
Yeah,
not everybody wants that.
yeah,
That's not going to appeal to the entire audience. So I
exactly.
think that's the perfect type of thing. The Cobra Commander last year, yeah, there's a lot of vocal people saying, "Oh, I hate the movie. I hate
Yeah,
Cobra blah blah blah." Yeah, okay, you hate it. That's why we couldn't get any more. Those things sold out like
yeah,
hotcakes. Give me a break.
yeah. That's true. Like you said, like the Cold Slither, it's hit or miss. But again, it has its audience, right?
Yes.
Um, but that's a good point, and I think they're smart for doing that, like more limited to that kind of area for exclusives.
Yeah. Right.
Who knows? Who knows what the future will hold with classified and what their goals are down the road? But with exclusives, that is. Um,
And I think there's a lot of room. There's a lot of fun things they could do. You could get the October Guard. Would they do that as an exclusive set?
yeah, I mean, I don't really want the Viper, the Wiper, the
Yeah,
old
no,
dude.
that
I'm
would be
okay
tough.
not getting him, in the
That's
toy.
that's a Super 7 type of thing.
That is, but even that, I'm a pass. I don't need that unless you're a cartoon collector who sets up maybe like mini dioramas. I could see that being really neat for that.
Yeah.
But
That's exactly right, Zazel. The movie isn't any more weird than any other stuff. There's a lot of stuff in the comics that's weird. There's tons of stuff in the animated that's weird.
yeah,
There's tons of interesting stuff in the toys that are weird, like Venomous Maximus, how they turn Hawk into. That's pretty
yeah.
weird.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you watch some of those old cartoons. There's some weird, the germ and
Yeah,
all that. I like Nemesis and Forcer. I know some people that either like the Joe movie or you don't. I love the opening of the Joe movie. I'll tell you that
oh,
the music and the
yeah.
credits and all of the opening scene. The Statue of Liberty. That to me, that's one of my favorite openings of any cartoon. So,
Yeah, it's it's
um,
it's great. You're right.
but Nemesis and Force, I thought was cool, and you know, Globulus, I think would have been neat if he had a different tail, like that
Yeah,
was presented in Toy Fair catalog with kind of the curly tail. I
yeah.
think that would have been cool. But again, I understand the toy cost, all these different factors come into play. But I always think of that tail could be. Remember those snakes you used to get
Yeah,
as a kid, and
it
you
was
hold
like,
it and it
yeah,
would wiggle around. Like
yeah.
if they could somehow figure out that technology around him, would have been kind of cool back then. But
There have been customizers that have done
yeah,
that, and then I think there's an independent toy company that's made like the who's the lady that can turn people to stone with her eyes with the snake.
Medusa.
Medusa. They did like customs of Medusa, and it had that type mechanism. And I
Oh,
had someone make me a Globulus using that mechanism, and another company made
didn't
Globulus
Boss
heads,
Fight make that?
put them
Something like
together.
that.
Huh?
Didn't Boss Fight do that for their Medusa figure?
Yes, boss fight, right. So I just took one and I had
You
someone
went
take
live with
the
it?
globulous head, put it on there, paint it, custom paint.
Huh.
I want to find that weird toy. There was a toy that came out in the early 2000s that was like a weird blob type thing. You could open up and there was a thing inside, and it's big in the community. People have gotten it. I want to get one of those and stick my globulus in it, have it painted, and that would be my orb, my flying orb
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
People have done that, but I have not been able to find one at a reasonable price.
yeah,
Um, yeah,
yeah,
I'm sure we'll see a bigger version now.
yeah. That's true.
So that's interesting, though. the choices and stuff like that they have to make based on the time frame, the resources, who's in charge, and this and that. And you can see some of the decision making is very weird and suspect. Like, really, Mercer, Big Glove, really?
Yeah.
That's where you're gonna go?
Well, it all comes down to this.
Yeah, I know.
That's what it all comes down to. So back then, I mean, with the club
Yeah,
stuff, and plus, I think they were limited to what molds are available to.
right,
You know what
right,
I
right.
mean? So, and I mean, Big Lot's a pretty tall dude,
Yeah,
basketball player. So,
yeah.
you do it what you have. But nowadays, I think you could definitely,
Oh yeah, Classified's
do,
doing all kinds of different sizes.
maybe they
They have
should have
all,
used the what's his name, Predacon, body, take out the extra arms. He's a little bit taller.
yeah,
I mean, not the hunched over part,
yeah.
but
I
not the
understand.
alien legs, but you get the underlying
Oh,
buck for the figure was
yeah,
bigger, so they could
right.
have done something like that back in the day. It'd be fun, but
I think they could easily make him right now if they ever did him for Classified because they already have the sports jersey mold with
yeah,
Bazooka, and all they have to do is just translate that part over and then make a longer leg size, and you can make a new head, and there's your Big Lob. I don't
oh
think it
yeah,
would take that much extra tooling to do that, but
yeah. I mean, it's all about kit bashing, and that's what it's all about. And then they did that in the '80s. The kit bash. Like when I'm looking at sculpture sheets, they'll say, arms from this character, legs from that character. They started kit bashing things together at that point to save money.
yeah, they did this the Gorer figure in the '90s. That's
Yeah,
true.
exactly.
That would have been the perfect body for Big Glob if they had that body at the time, that buck
Yeah,
at the time, but they didn't, unfortunately, because he was bigger than the other
yeah,
O-rings.
he was.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
the
that would have been a good.
manimals were a little bit bigger. I mean, and I've seen the manimal bucks. So I mean, the buck's a buck. What
Yeah,
you sculpt on top of it, who cares? You know what I
right.
mean? So I mean, I know we were kind of getting off with the aliens, but you take away all the
Yeah,
clay,
yeah,
use the actual underlying buck. I mean, eventually they could have done it, but again, Big Lob would have been long gone by the '90s.
yeah,
And
right.
for the club, they're not going to go sculpt a new figure from a buck.
Yeah,
Essentially, back in
right.
the day, it probably would have cost way too much. So,
Exactly. But
but
I'm positive we're going to get it through Super 7. They'll
yeah,
probably do a movie wave of figures. We're going to get probably Once a Man Cobra Commander, Pythona, Big Lob, and maybe like a white t-shirt Chuckles or something like that. And that'll be your movie
is
wave.
Brian Flynn going to be at Joe Fest or
Yes, he is.
okay? I've never really met him, but maybe I'll may have to show him Volume 14, show him what we almost got, and see. Hopefully, get some of those Battle Corps Ranger figures and Ninja Commandos and all that stuff out.
Well, if you have a conversation with Brian Flynn, you invite me to that conversation. I want to talk to him too about it. I've interviewed him 3 or 4 times, and I look forward to seeing him at the show. We weren't sure if he was going to be there this year,
Yeah,
but we just got confirmation this week that he is going to be
nice.
there.
Okay,
So
I never met
this is
him. I
great.
never talked to him, so I might just have to do a little cold
Oh, good.
introduction.
Zale, you coming all the way from Australia? When are you leaving? Like on
Oh, nice.
Monday, so you can make it by Thursday? Um, Well, we weren't sure. It was up in the air, but I'm so happy he's going to be there because I think that helps kind of put Joe Fest on a different level
Yeah,
to have those companies there to do what I say that we're trying to do.
yeah,
Uh, but yeah, I'm very happy about that. I'm very, very happy about
yeah.
that.
It's exciting to see that. Excuse me, and see what he has and see what's coming up, and you know, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of people. So I mean, as much as I'm there to sell books and everything else, it's a lot of times it's to see the people. And somebody asked me yesterday just about the two different shows. I don't know, like I've never been one except for Joe Cons. Yeah, I buy the exclusives, right? I buy them. I kept the set. Sometimes I bought extras to sell to try to offset the cost of the show or the trip, which everybody did. You know, with a lot of that not really existing today, a lot of these shows, yeah, I come to sell the books, but I mean, a lot of it has to really do with the people, and come to see different people. And I've always enjoyed panels, and that's why it's like, I don't know what I'll be able to do at Joe Fest with panels, like as far as attendance, because I don't really have anybody watching my table or whatever. But hopefully I can at least attend one or two. There's a couple I want to definitely see. So
come to my voice actor panel. It should be really fun.
are you guys doing like readings and stuff, or?
I don't know what we're going to do right now. I just know there's going to be 6 voice actors and me trying to corral all these crazy voice actors and stuff like that.
Are you playing Cobra Commander?
Huh?
Are you going to play Cobra Commander?
You want me to be Cobra Commander? I can be Cobra Commander! Dr. Mindman to shut your pie hole!
There you go. You sound like a different one. I'm trying to think who you sound like cartoon-wise.
No, it's a mix of Cobra Commander and Starscream.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
I always wanted to be a voice actor. I think I would make a very good voice actor.
As a kid, I remember wanting to be one. Like, remember the guy from Police Academies?
Yeah, he could do
he always inspired me as a kid to like do different voices. And I mean, I'm not gonna do what you just did, but I could definitely do some different voices that reflect a little bit. Donald Duck. I do my Donald Duck impression, stuff like that.
I can do all of those. I can do Goofy, Mickey, Donald.
Nice. Hey, you live in Florida. Why don't you get a job at Disney?
Yeah. Okay. Good luck trying to get a job at Disney.
My cousin.
I have a friend that's worked there for more than 20 years and stuff like that, and he deals with the wild world of sports as a coordinator for events. So he does good. So we get to go to Disney. Huh?
My cousin works there. She's been there a long time too. I don't know what her role is, but she's been there a long time. So
he gets us in from time to time. So I enjoy that. So I'm glad for that.
Nice. Yeah. Always helpful when you got an inside hook on something.
Exactly. I'll keep that on the DL. As the kids like to say.
Yeah.
So the show is going to be a week and a half away, I guess. Because I'm going in early. I'll be going in probably really early on Thursday. We have to do the lineup of the floor and stuff like that. Have you seen the floor plan? It is packed, and we're doing 2 levels this year. Yeah. So it'll be the second level where the panels used to be. Now that's going to be vendors, and then we have a big ballroom now for panels where we used to have the Sergeant Slaughter breakfast. You ever been to the Sergeant Slaughter breakfast before? Man, is that cool! You should go to that. That is fun.
So I'm looking at the map. Okay, let's see. First floor. I think I'm upstairs. Am I upstairs? I'm assuming I'm upstairs if I'm a 2. So
I'm not sure where you are.
Yeah. So I was looking at it the other day because I wasn't sure, and I found myself or my spot. So I don't know. I need to see it, I guess, to see it. I mean, I know kind of the format. I can picture it, like the stairs going up to the room and all that. So who knows? I'm in there somewhere, but it should be fun. Like I said, I mean, I'm looking forward, and I know with Joe Fest, I know, like you said, got bigger, so that's cool to kind of see like maybe some different vendors and stuff like that. And then I know Dallas too; they just moved to a new location as well, so they've got a bigger floor as well. So
yeah, I heard that was an issue last year, that the venue was not nearly big enough for what they were trying to do.
I don't know. I mean, it was pretty full, but yeah, I know last year when I got there, he'd already been talking to the new place because we visited a new place like during the trip because I was there a couple days early. So I knew he's already thinking of leaving where they were to the new place. But
Brian from Cotswolds and I, we're in touch with each other, and we're communicating stuff like that. So we're very friendly, cordial to one another. Joe Fest, DFW, and I know their new dates are going to be sometime around Memorial Day, I believe, next year. So
Greg said, I think it's the weekend after Memorial Day.
Oh yeah, well it's going to be a month more farther apart from us, which is what we all want, which the fans want, DFW wants, we want. We try to get as much distance so we're not on top of each other,
Yeah.
and that's fine because there's a lot of shows around the country. There's the SoCal Joe Show that's got 2 dates, the Kentuckiana Joe Show. There's my new Joe Show, the Senflo Joe Show, the Boston Joe Show, the Anaheim Joe Show, Assembly Required. So there's
Mhm.
a dozen shows. You don't want to be on top of another event. You want to be respectful and try to stay away. And that's what we're trying to do. And everybody's been very good about trying to do that. It just happens the last 2 are closer than we both wanted. So
Yeah.
it's been good. There's no animosity, no infighting, no issues. We love each other. It's all, what do the kids do
There you
this?
go. There you go. They're
Uh,
hip. Yeah. I mean, I never got into all that stuff. I mean, I had my own reasons last year for for why I attended one
Hello.
over the other, but I don't care. Like, I don't get involved in all that crap. I don't really care about it all. So we all are here to enjoy something that
Exactly.
we all grew up with, loving.
Well,
You
and
know,
that's what I say. Joe Fest is basically a huge family reunion. And that's the way I look at it. Like all my friends and people that I really care about in this community all come together and we get to
Mhm.
talk and we get to drink beers with Sergeant Slaughter and just have a ball. When do you get to do that? You get to go to a normal family reunion. It's like pulling teeth, pulling hair out of your head. Oh, I got to sit next to Aunt Louis or Louisa or Uncle Bobby or this or that.
That's
And you're
what I think. A
like,
lot of
you're
these,
here to sit next to them.
yeah, a lot of these shows. I've now main shows. Joe Con, of course. Was unique in its own, and then Joe Fest and DFW, and then even Assembly Required. You know, they all have unique things about them, right? But
Yes.
when it comes at the end of the day, it's about hanging out with different people. Like I went to AR a couple years ago for the first time, and it was fun. Is a different feeling that I had gotten from Joe Cons and Joe Fest. At that time I hadn't attended the DFW, but every show is unique. And again, it's all about keeping the brand relevant and
Yeah.
alive.
Yep.
Because I mean, I can't attend every show. I just can't. I mean, as much as I'd love to.
I would
A
love to.
lot of the shows on the East Coast, and unfortunately, if I lived in Ohio like I did originally, yeah, I probably would be at more shows more often, and
Yeah.
just in general. But I get to do the shows I can do, and we'll see how the future holds. And but I got family, and my wife likes to travel, so and I only get so many days a year, so you got to be careful with how you balance out your time, right? So
Well, try to keep open late September, early October for the kids to go to Disney and the wife to come to Florida and get a little sun.
mhm.
And maybe there might be a G.I. Joe show around that time that you can be a guest at. And
When is it actually?
huh?
When is it actually?
It's this year's is the 28th. It's only one day, but in the
Of
future,
September?
yeah, September. In next year will probably be around the same weekend, maybe the first weekend of October, depending on
Okay.
where the weekend falls. It might
Yeah.
be 2 days, depending upon how this year's go. And I would love to have one of my best friends in this community come and share his love of this brand as a guest.
Yeah. I mean, let me know, man. I mean, that's actually out here in Arizona, schools are done a little bit differently. So we're on the modified year round. So
Uh,
my kids just ended the week before Memorial Day. We start mid July, and so they don't have a full 3 months off like kids back east like I used to when I was a kid.
yeah,
So they go July, but the cool thing is they get 2 weeks off for fall break, 2 weeks off for winter, maybe even three, and then 2 weeks for spring. So unlike my siblings and their kids, they didn't have break until the week after Easter. My kids had already had break in 2 weeks in March. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So October is actually usually a good time. So if you know dates, I'm not saying like go work around my kid's schedule, but I can give you a pretty definitive answer. And that's something we've never gone to Disney World, so it could be something that we could mix the two together next year even, and
Yeah, that's
try to
where I'm
plan
looking at. This year, I'm pretty much
Your
all
cousin's buying all the tickets, right? You said, yeah. Thank you.
might, yeah, right.
Or your friend.
I could probably do.
My cousin, I should say.
Yeah, I'll have to look into it, but yeah,
I'm joking. I'm joking.
but even if you came yourself, you could stay with me. My doors are always open to friends and stuff like that. But yeah, I would love to have you for next year, not this year's, but
No, I
next
hear you.
year's. This is our first one. We're trying to figure it all out and get it all lined up. But Mark Pennington is our primary guest, and
Nice.
we're paying for him and his wife and stuff like
Nice.
that. It should be a really nice event. Uh, if you're out there and you're a vendor and you're watching this, hey, we need vendors. Come on down to Florida.
It's in
If you're in
Orlando, right?
Florida already, come on up to Central Florida.
Okay.
What?
Is it in Orlando or where's the show at?
It's a bit north of Orlando. It's about 45 minutes north of Orlando, a little bit 20 minutes south of Daytona. So it's in Central Florida,
Okay.
but it's in my hometown here in Deltona for the first time. We don't know if we're gonna do the same venue for the second. We just gotta see how this year turns out. It's all a mystery until it
Yeah,
happens.
let me know. I mean, I've thought about doing a show. If I lived in Ohio, I think I'll be more. I think I'd probably run it and see, if I could do something. Only because people I think are willing to drive to Ohio. Arizona, I just think it would be a challenge. Like when Joe Con was traveling, which I did like that about Joe Con.
I like that too.
I did try to get Brian Savage down here because I thought it'd be kind of cool, but it's a challenge when you got East Coast. I don't know West Coast. I think you get maybe some California people and dealers, but your people on the East Coast, it's a long travel. With product. I mean, it's one thing I can get there with books and stuff like that. When you're bringing a truckload of toys and driving across the country, it's a lot. And so the only way I would do it, it would have to be in conjunction with maybe another show that's close by to where they can just go from. And I'm not saying this is going to happen, but let's imagine Dallas, right? So Dallas isn't that far. If you're midway and then you just make the extra hike over, if it could line up to that. But again, that would never work if it's in June. But me personally, you don't want to be in Arizona in June, by the way, either. So my idea would be you come in the nicer months, when your guys are getting snow. Well, not you, when other people are getting snow and freezing their tails off. Come to Arizona, enjoy our nice mild winters, and have a toy show. But there's a lot involved in that. And right now in my life, like, I was talking to someone the other day, I'm at a different point. My kids are getting older. My boy's about to go to 8th grade. So, the next 5 years, it's focused, heavily on them because, I mean, once they move out, I'm not saying he's going to move out at 18, but he goes to college or something. I want to make sure I savor these last few years before they get to the point. I mean, it's not like they want to hang out with dad now anyway, but you get my point. Before they go out to college or whatever, I want to make sure that I soak in as much as possible. Spending time.
Let me answer this gentleman here. Our show in Florida is Central Florida. It's called the Flo Joe Show or the Central Florida Joe Show. It's in Deltona. It's in September the 28th. It's a one-day show to start off. We're just getting our toes in the water, touching that water, trying to get a foothold there. But we're looking for vendors for the show, trying to get a nice eclectic group of vendors. So yeah, reach out to. We have a Facebook group page for the event, the Flo Joe Show. So go on there, and we also have a website, the Flo joeshow.com. You can email us if you're a vendor and you're interested. We can send a contract that way. So thank you for asking, Bobby World. I appreciate it.
Is it just Joe stuff, or are you venturing to everything?
At this point, we're saying it can be everything. We're trying to keep it at least half GI Joe because it is a GI Joe show, and there are going to be a bunch of GI Joe guests, 4 different guests, and I'm trying to keep it GI Joe centric, but I'm not going to be as strict as I think Joe Con was. We had to be like 80% Joe. I'm not going to be that strict.
I think them being officially through Hasbro, I think they could only carry mainly Hasbro product. You know what I mean? So I get it because I think they had different stipulations with their contract. I'm assuming is why they had to do that. I think someone's told me that once. I don't know who, but I think that was the case. well, we're gonna support you. You can't be having a bunch of Kenner, or not Kenner, but you can't have a bunch of Mattel and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But who knows nowadays? Because they're married together. They're doing the Hot Wheel Joe vehicle. So who knows? What you could do nowadays. But
It's all kinds of
um,
stuff now. Yeah.
yeah, there's so many intermixings of companies now, which makes sense. With the toy industry itself and the state of it, you kind of have to be able to do that. So I think it's the old days of kind of battling it out. It's like, all right, what can we do to compromise? You guys make great games, so hey, we're going to bring some of our products and use your gaming, part of your business, and then hey, you guys make good die-cast vehicles. We're going to
Yeah.
come over and use your die casting, for our stuff. So it's kind of best of both worlds, in my
It
opinion.
is. I agree with you 100%.
It's smarter, and hopefully it keeps the product cost lower, so that way you're not, Hasbro were like, hey, we're going to get in the die-cast business. Think about how much money is going to go into that, and blah blah blah. Where it's like, just offset it with farming it out to Mattel and vice versa.
Yeah.
So
I wish I had more time off to do DFW this year. I tried to get the time for my job, but they weren't giving me 2 weeks in a row off.
yeah,
And it was like, They gave me some time in July that we're going to go up to Kentucky to visit some family and friends. And then I'm going to hit Kentuckiana. That's the best I could do. But yeah, it's tricky.
I hear you.
If I can get into another position with my work, then hopefully I'll be in a better space to travel and do more shows. But that's right now up in the air.
Aren't you getting sick at Joe Fest?
Huh? What?
Aren't you getting sick? Aren't you getting sick at Joe Fest?
No, I'm not getting sick of it. It's just
No. I'm making a joke.
Oh, I know. But the thing about Joe Fest is I love it, and I want to do as much as you want to do there. But I have a job to do, and it is hard for me to be the worker Dave and be the G.I. Joe fan Dave.
Yeah.
Those two worlds are colliding with one another. But it is what it is. We're in the same boat, you and I, trying to do both, because it is our family reunion. For better terms, it's basically our family reunion. And I've missed you. I haven't seen you in a couple of years.
Yeah.
It's going to be wonderful to see everybody. And the thing about the Joe Fest is it's an international event now. It's not a local event anymore. Mm-hmm. My show will be a local event. Kentuckiana is a local event. SoCal is a local event. Assembly Required is a local event. Boston's a local event. Joe Fest is an international toy event where people come from around the globe now to Joe Fest, and it's grown that big. So it's a different type of thing, and we have to step up to meet that demand. Meet the fans where they are.
Yeah, because I was joking about calling off sick. That's what I meant by sick. Not sick of Joe Fest.
Oh God! Don't even say that. My job will find out, and I'll be.
No, I'm joking. I'm totally joking. Don't get in trouble at work. Because I had actually considered going straight from Joe Fest to Dallas to work, and I got approval and all that to work from Dallas, but it just didn't pan out. Like with the amount of money I was going to be spending on a hotel room and all that, and the cost of the flights and everything, just didn't make sense to do that. You know what I mean?
So you're not working there. You're going to go back home and then come back?
So yeah, I'll be flying home Sunday night from Joe Fest. I just changed my flight because I didn't realize. I don't know why I thought the show ended earlier, but my flight was like at 4:30. So
it doesn't end till like 6.
It ends at 4 on Sunday. I saw. So
okay. I thought it was later.
So I'm gonna maybe Saturday, but Sunday. So I changed my flight a couple hours later, so that way I can get the books all packed up, ready to go. I'm not rushing out the door before the show's over. And plus, Augusta's airport's small. It's not like we have to worry about being 3 hours early. Yeah, I could be there an hour and a half early, be fine. So, so I did that. So I'll be coming to Phoenix, and then I'll work for a couple of days, and then I'll be heading back to Dallas.
Well, it's good that Josh Eggeman's gonna help you with the book, so you don't really need to worry too much. Just packing them up at the show and giving them to him.
So I'm very thankful and grateful for him and offering to help out. And so he's gonna stop by the week of and pick up stuff and take it along. And And I'll be bringing, my clothes and all that jazz. But I'll be bringing. I've been looking because I don't have a display case or anything at either show, so I was trying to figure out like how can I display some cool stuff and fun stuff. So I talked to Carson a little bit about the cases that he's been taking with his 2-ups and paint masters and stuff.
Oh,
So
he has a lot of stuff.
yeah, so I'll be taking. I bought a couple different cases. I bought 3 different cases. 2 arrived. So I'm gonna. That's today's goal is to play around, see what I can fit in these cases, and then just kind of do what he's been doing at the display case. I'm sure he has other stuff to displaying, but um, it's hard when I like I'm not traveling a big glass case. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So unless I can, someone has a glass case and they're lending it to me for the show, it's just too hard to do. And even to buy it and just leave it there, it's just I just said, I'll just show it this way. So I'll be bringing some fun stuff in the case. People can come and check it out.
Yeah, I saw you did a thing where you asked people to suggest things, and I suggested something, and somebody came on there and said, "We hate the Crimson Twins. We wouldn't show the Crimson Twins even if we had it." What wasn't that? Who was that? Was that you?
No, it wasn't me.
No, that wasn't you. No, you didn't say that.
I
You
just said I don't have anything.
you don't have the stuff.
I don't have anything Crimson Twins. I mean, the only
Share.
thing I have that would be of interest would be, I think it's FEP or EP, where the same heads on both characters essentially. But other than that, I don't. It'd be cool to have it like sculpture or 2-up or something of that.
Yeah, man, that would be something.
So I'll be bringing some goodies to kind of show and show off and let people kind of see a little bit of history, right, in person.
Yeah.
I don't know, like I've done before. Like I had a little plastic display case the one year at Joe Fest. I'll try to maybe I'll bring that with me as well. Maybe set up some one-on-one figures or something. I don't know. I that's my goal today is to get in there and make some decisions and take the cases in there and play around with them. Because like I said, there's 2 different cases. One's a little bit deeper than the other, but it'll be kind of same format. Like Carson suggests, like get the foam that you can kind of pluck away. So I'll be plucking that away and making sure they fit in there snug. So I'll bring something I think people will enjoy. And
I'm sure.
Like you said earlier, it's about sharing. What good does it do just sitting in a cabinet in my Joe room? I mean,
Yeah, no one sees it collecting dust or whatever it is in there. Yeah, exactly.
Not dusty in there, Dave. What are you talking about?
You're a high end collector. We don't have dust. We have a air hermetically sealed case that creates a little wind to give it some breeze and the whole spiel. Yeah. Okay.
No, I'm joking, but not much dust in there. I do keep my room it's blocked off. So windows are blocked, LED lights, and then I have pretty much a door stopper. So no light really gets in my Joe room whatsoever. Like if I'm in there and I shut the door, I got to be careful not to trip over something. If, because right now I have a bunch of stuff I pulled out for 25th anniversary that I'm looking to sell. I just kind of made that decision. So I sold a decent amount of figures. Still got a lot of vehicles I'd like to move, but I kept some favorites, and that's kind of what I'm doing. I did it with the 2000 figures, 2001, Spy Troops, all that stuff. Kept a couple favorites, and then got rid of most of the others. Just time to move on.
That's a shame. I wish I had more money to get some of that stuff because there's little things here and there that I'm probably still missing from all those different things. I don't have everything of everything, but I am missing a couple things here, a couple things there.
Yeah. Well, let me know. I mean, being a completist, you only have so much room, right?
Yeah.
And so over the years, when I got a lot of the binders and stuff like that, artwork and just stuff, people are like, well, that doesn't really, it kind of looks weird. You have binders on your toy shelf, but I'm like, well, where else are they going to go? I don't have anywhere else to put them.
Protect that stuff because that is unproduced art, unproduced sketches, memos. Who else is going to protect that? You got to put it someplace safe. No, so I think you're doing the right thing on that.
Yeah, I can store it in my regular office, but then the sun's getting to it and everything else. So, I want to make sure it's preserved as best as possible, and everything's in sleeves and all that stuff. So,
well, Dan, it's been a pleasure catching up with you. It's always wonderful having you on. I didn't really get to showcase the books that much. I wanted to showcase the books a lot more in this interview, but There's that one. There's that one. This is funny. There's that one. There's that
12,
one.
13, 11. Yeah, I mean, for anybody who's not familiar with the book series, it's an in-depth look at the history of G.I. Joe. I've interviewed a lot of the former Hasbro people who worked on the brand, anywhere from designing to engineers, marketing, model makers, you name it. So stop by Joe Fest and DFW if you're going to either show, whatever the case may be. And I'll be bringing full sets. I'm in my sell-off period right now with Hasbro because it is officially licensed. So stop by, pick up a set, or if you're missing one, pick it up. I'll have a few individual samples available.
That's my favorite volume, by the way, folks out there, and it's called the Crimson volume, and you can figure out just by the name Crimson why it's my favorite.
It's very easy. Surprised you don't have that one like AFA graded or something, Dave.
I'm using these. I'm actually getting some use. I wonder if I could get a tax write-off for using this on my YouTube channel. How much did you spend on those? No, you're not getting a tax write-off. Get out of here.
Exactly. I don't know about all that, and that's out of my realm. But I appreciate having me on. It's been fun, and it's been a minute, and I'm looking forward to seeing you and others at Joe Fest and just catching up with some people in person, rather than video. And I know with COVID and everything, it's always best to be in person with people.
Now there's some new strain. I'm not even going to get started on some of that.
I don't know what's going on there, but yeah. So I appreciate you having me on, and look forward to seeing you in a week and a half, and
a week and a half. Yeah.
Hopefully, you get some free time from your busyness to, chat a little bit. I'm sure at night it'll be more. Available, but
we barely get any sleep. We get like 4 hours of sleep from like 3 to like maybe 7 or something like that.
I used to do that. I've learned not to do that anymore. I try to go like a couple years ago when I was there, the last show I was there, I was like, all right, I'm going to go to bed. Like I just felt tired. I just, I can't survive off of 4 to 5 hours like I used to 10 years ago. So I need a little bit of sleep, especially, for, managing the show and everything else, and everything. So you got to be somewhat alert, right?
So. That's exactly right. Well, thank you for everybody in the chat for joining us and commenting and asking questions. I want to say thank you to Dan Klingensmith Jr., the creator of the Creating a Real American Hero G.I. Joe series of books, for joining us. I look forward to seeing everybody at Joe Fest 2025. I will not be at DFW, unfortunately. So we have some other videos coming up down the road. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, click that notification button so you can be notified of upcoming content. And again, I thank you very much, Dan. I look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks.
Hi, man. Thank you. See you, everybody.